Chapter 14. The Job is Jobab Hypothesis. When I was in Morocco in 2019, I came across an African sub-Saharan man named Jobab. Immediately I recognized his name was similar to Job. I thought it was interesting, considering I was traveling in the Maghreb. The term Job means persecuted or cries, while Jobab means hated. Notice there's a connection with the meaning of their names, including the fact that Job is the short form for the name Jobab. What is unique about the name Jobab is that it is found in the Old Testament during the age of the patriarchs. Remember, our English tongues use a J instead of a Y, so it would be Yob or Jobab, but we will use the J pronunciation for ease. Our God is a Y. Jethro the Midianite, Jethro, was a Kenite, a Midian priest Yahwist, who had three names associated with him: Jethro, Reuel, and Hobab. Let me help you make the connection. Genesis 36 depicts Jobab as the son of Zerah of Bozrah. Zerah was the son of Reuel. Reuel was the son of Esau. Genesis 36:33 states, when Bela died, Jobab, son of Zerah, from Bozrah, succeeded him as king. When Jobab died, Husham, from the land of the Temanite, succeeded him as king. There is a strong connection between Jobab and Teman in this verse. It does not mean that Jethro is Jobab, because Jethro is also called Hobab, but the scriptural clues indicate that the real Job in the book of Job refers to the Aramean Edomite Jobab, who was also in the lineage of Abraham, Isaac, Esau, Reuel, Zerah, and there we have Jobab. The book of Job is about Abraham's great-great-great-grandson named Job from the family line of Esau, the fifth from Abraham, and a great-nephew to Eliphaz. Consider when the Israelites were living in Egypt that all of Jacob's family line were relatives of Eliphaz and Jobab, because they were descendants of Jacob's fraternal twin brother Esau. Lineage: Abraham, Isaac, Esau, Eliphaz, Teman. Abraham, Isaac, Esau, Reuel, Zerah, Jobab. Lineage from Abraham to Job: Abraham, 1996 BC, Isaac, 1896 BC, Esau, 1836 BC, Eliphaz, 1796 BC, Teman, unknown. Esau, 1836 BC, Reuel, 1786 BC, Zerah, 1746 BC, Jobab, 1716 BC. Job is the short form for Jobab. I surmise the man in question in the book of Job is Jobab, the ruler of the Edomites, who succeeded Bela for a while before Husham, the Temanite, took over. Remember, when the Israelites went into the area of Mount Seir after the Exodus, they were explicitly told by Yahweh not to fight with the Edomites because that was land apportioned to Esau's lineage. Deuteronomy 23:7 says, "You shall not abhor an Edomite, for he is your brother." In Deuteronomy 2:2-4, the Israelites were instructed not to meddle with the Edomites because Mount Seir possessed Esau's descendants, the relatives of Israel. If Solomon were the playwright of the book of Job, Solomon's dates would have been 990 BC to 931 BC. He died around 60 years of age. However, the real Job is a contemporary of Eliphaz, the son of Esau. How does that fit with Jobab? Jobab was the fifth to Abraham. He was a contemporary of Jacob and Joseph, living in the vicinity of the Arabah around 1716 BC to 1506 BC. Not the pre-Abrahamic Jobab mentioned in Genesis 10:29, who was the son of Joktan, and Ophir, and Havilah, and Jobab. All these were the sons of Joktan. What is unique about the earlier Genesis 10 reference to the name Jobab is that it corroborates another truth about the Joktanites. They were the first settlers of Arabia. Havilah is the land where the Ishmaelites settled in northern Arabia. Ishmael's descendants occupied the region from Havilah to Shur, east of Egypt, in the direction of Assur. They lived in open hostility toward all their relatives, Genesis 25:18. There you see the eponym of Ophir in strong connection to the Arabian Peninsula. The territory of the pre-Abrahamic locality called Jobab, eponym, was the land of Uz, or shall we call Edomite territory, overlapping borders with Arabia. Ophir was closely associated with southern Arabia, which would be modern-day Yemen, East Africa, and an outside chance of being India, probably not. even though the Indians did import spices to Saba, Aden, from the Malabar coast. To this day, the Yemeni Jews are loosely called the Temani people, even though the term cannot openly define the people of Teman and Edom. It is more by happenstance the term Temani is connected to Jewry. Regardless, Genesis 36 depicts Jobab as the son of Zerah of Bozrah, and Bozrah to this day remains in Edomite territory, the country of Jordan. Now, Job's trial occurred when he was 70, so the date of the distressing event would roughly have been around 1646 BC, when Job suffered. The prospective date is deduced that Esau was undoubtedly born in 1836 BC, and Eliphaz would have been born around 40 years later or more, putting his birth date around 1796 BC. Genesis 26:34 states when Esau was 40 years old, he married Judith, daughter of Beri the Hittite, and also Basemath, daughter of Elon the Hittite. Reuel's mother from Esau was Basemath from Ishmael. Eliphaz's mother was Adah, Basemath from Elon the Hittite. Judith gave Esau no children indicated in the Bible record. She might be Oholibamah, the daughter of Anna, in the line of Zibeon the Hivite, who would have been of Canaanite stock. Reuel's line had a stronger connection to the Ishmaelites, who intermarried with Midian descendants. The Joseph account in Genesis 37 has them interpolated as Midianites and Ishmaelites as one of the same. The Midianites are synonymous with 4 cultural clues: crescent ornaments on the necks of their camels, the wearing of gold earrings, caravan merchant traders, and open hostility to their opposition, Judges 8. What the reader must understand is the Midianites were the descendants of Ishmael. Esau had his initial children with Adah, Eliphaz, and Oholibamah, Jeush, Jalam, and Korah. But when he married Mahalath, she comes into the picture as a latter wife who gives birth to Reuel about 10 years later, a latter son of Esau. Reuel proceeded to have 4 children: Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah, Genesis 36:13. What can be surmised is Jethro the Midianite, the father-in-law of Moses, was a descendant from one of these 4 sons of Reuel, Genesis 28:6-9. Esau went to Ishmael and took his wife, besides the wives he had, Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebaioth. It is hard to grasp, but not every Midianite was a worthless idolater. In the providence of God, we see that Jethro's family was a remnant who were cognizant of Yahweh. Now, if you take the 2 successive generations from Esau to Reuel, to Zerah to Jobab, it would have been at least a 100-year period, or more before Jobab was born. Esau was about 50 years old when Reuel was born. Reuel to Zerah, 40, and Zerah to Jobab, 30. So the birth of Jobab would have been around 120 years after the birth of Esau, 1836 BC, but 70 years from the birth of Reuel, around 1786 BC. Take 1836 BC and subtract it by 120, and we arrive at 1716 BC, before the birth date of Jobab, Job, which means Job was a contemporary of at least 11 biblical figures in the Old Testament: Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Esau, Eliphaz, Bildad, Zophar, Elihu, Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. Isaac was born in 1896 BC and died 180 years later in 1716 BC. Now get this, Esau is present with Jacob at the burial of Isaac in Hebron around 1716 BC, and they bury their aged father Isaac. This was before Jacob's family migration to Egypt in 1706 BC. Joseph was 39 years old when Jacob brings his household of 70 to Egypt during the great 7-year famine in Egypt. Imagine that 11 biblical figures, including Esau, lived during Job's lifetime. Who would have known? In fact, Moses would have been in Midian when Jobab was still alive, and that means he had direct access to Job's life, considering they were contemporaries.